What if the herbs sitting quietly in your kitchen could activate your body's own defense systems, protect your brain, calm inflammation, and even support your metabolism? Memory loss doesn't begin with a dramatic moment. It begins silently, with microscopic damage happening inside your brain cells every single day. Oxidative stress, driven by unstable molecules called free radicals, slowly attacks neurons, weakens connections, and accelerates cognitive aging. By the time symptoms appear, the biological storm has often been building for years. But here's where rosemary becomes more than a kitchen herb. It becomes a neuroprotective ally. Rosemary contains a powerful compound called carnosic acid, shown in laboratory studies to activate the body's own antioxidant defense system, including pathways like NRF2 that switch on protective genes inside brain cells. Instead of acting like a simple external antioxidant, it helps your brain defend itself from within. Research has demonstrated that carnosic acid can shield neurons from beta amyloid toxicity, one of the destructive hallmarks associated with Alzheimer's disease. That means rosemary doesn't just fight general inflammation, it targets mechanisms linked to real neurodegeneration. Another compound, rosmarinic acid, has been shown to reduce neuroinflammation, the chronic brain inflammation increasingly recognized as a major driver of memory decline and depression. Inflammation in the brain disrupts communication between neurons, but rosemary's polyphenols help calm this internal fire. Even more fascinating, studies suggest rosemary aroma alone may influence cognitive performance, with small human trials reporting improved memory speed and alertness after exposure. Imagine that, compounds from a simple plant interacting directly with brain chemistry. In a world where rates of cognitive decline are rising globally, protecting brain cells is no longer optional, it's essential. Every cup of rosemary tea delivers bioactive molecules that cross the blood-brain barrier and support cellular resilience. It's not a miracle cure, it's something more powerful, a daily biological advantage. And sometimes protecting your future memory begins with what you choose to sip today. Inflammation is not always visible, but it may be the most dangerous fire burning inside your body right now. It doesn't always cause pain, it doesn't always cause fever, but chronic, low-grade inflammation silently damages blood vessels, disrupts hormones, and accelerates aging at the cellular level. Scientists now link persistent inflammation to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer progression, autoimmune disorders, and even depression. It is the common thread connecting many of today's most feared chronic illnesses. And this is where rosemary becomes more than flavor. It becomes a biological shield. Rosemary is rich in rosmarinic acid, carnosol, and carnosic acid, compounds shown in laboratory and animal studies to suppress inflammatory signaling pathways such as NF-κB, a master switch that turns on genes responsible for producing inflammatory cytokines. When NF-κB is overactive, the body stays in attack mode. Rosemary helps calm that alarm system. Research has demonstrated that rosemary extracts can reduce markers like TNF-A and interleukin-6, both heavily involved in chronic inflammatory diseases. That means it may help quiet the molecular messengers that keep inflammation alive. Oxidative stress and inflammation work together like partners in crime, each fueling the other. Rosemary's antioxidants interrupt this cycle, neutralizing free radicals before they can trigger more inflammatory damage. Even vascular inflammation, the kind that stiffens arteries and increases heart disease risk, may be influenced by rosemary's polyphenols. This is not about masking symptoms. This is about influencing the biology underneath the disease. A warm cup of rosemary tea delivers these compounds in a gentle, consistent way, not as a drug, but as a daily signal to your body that it can stand down from chronic defense mode. Because when inflammation cools, healing can begin. And sometimes, reducing the fire inside starts with something remarkably simple, steeped in hot water, waiting in your cup. Your immune system is not just a shield. It is an intelligent army making life or death decisions every second inside your body. When it's balanced, it destroys viruses, eliminates damaged cells, and prevents disease before you ever feel symptoms. But when it's dysregulated, it can become either too weak to protect you or so overactive that it attacks your own tissues. Modern research shows that immune imbalance is linked not only to infections, but to autoimmune disease, chronic fatigue, allergies, and even cancer progression. The question is not how to boost immunity. The real question is how to regulate it. And this is where rosemary reveals something extraordinary. Rosemary contains polyphenols, such as rosmarinic acid and carnosol, that have been shown in laboratory studies to influence immune signaling pathways. Instead of overstimulating immune cells, these compounds help modulate inflammatory cytokines, the chemical messengers that control immune intensity. Studies suggest rosemary extracts can reduce excessive production of pro-inflammatory cytokines like TNF-A while supporting antioxidant defenses that protect immune cells from oxidative damage. That means rosemary may help the immune system respond with precision rather than panic. Oxidative stress weakens immune performance over time, making the body more vulnerable to infection. The antioxidants in rosemary help neutralize free radicals, preserving the integrity of white blood cells so they can function efficiently. Even more compelling, preliminary research indicates rosemary compounds may exhibit antimicrobial activity against certain bacteria and fungi, suggesting direct protective effects. This is not hype. It is plant chemistry interacting with human biology. A simple cup of rosemary tea becomes a daily act of immune stewardship, not forcing your system into overdrive, but helping it maintain balance. Because true immune strength is not about aggression. It's about intelligent control. And sometimes the quiet ritual of sipping an herbal infusion is actually supporting one of the most powerful defense networks inside you. Every time you eat, your body makes a life-altering decision. Burn the fuel efficiently, or store it in ways that slowly damage your metabolism. Blood sugar spikes may feel invisible, but over time they strain your pancreas, stiffen your arteries, and increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. Insulin resistance does not happen overnight. It develops quietly, cell by cell, as tissues stop responding properly to insulin's signal. And once that signal weakens, glucose lingers in the bloodstream, triggering inflammation and oxidative stress. This is where rosemary steps into the metabolic conversation. Rosemary contains bioactive compounds, including carnosic acid and rosmarinic acid, that have shown in experimental studies the ability to improve insulin sensitivity and reduce oxidative damage linked to high blood sugar. Laboratory research suggests rosemary extracts may help inhibit enzymes like alpha-glucosidase, which break down carbohydrates into glucose, potentially slowing the rate at which sugar enters the bloodstream. Slower absorption means fewer dramatic spikes. Animal studies have also shown reductions in fasting glucose levels and improvements in lipid profiles when rosemary compounds are introduced. That means potential support not just for blood sugar, but for cholesterol and triglycerides as well. Chronic hyperglycemia fuels inflammation, damages blood vessels, and accelerates aging at the cellular level. Rosemary's antioxidant activity helps counter the oxidative stress created by elevated glucose. This is not a replacement for medical care, but it is a strategic addition to a metabolically supportive lifestyle. A cup of rosemary tea after meals may serve as a gentle metabolic signal, supporting steadier glucose handling and reduced oxidative burden. Because metabolic health is not built in dramatic moments, it is built in daily biochemical choices. And sometimes protecting your future energy begins with what you choose to brew today. Every organ in your body depends on one silent, unstoppable force: circulation. Your blood vessels form a vast highway stretching nearly 60,000 miles, delivering oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and immune cells to every living tissue. But when that highway becomes inflamed, stiff, or narrowed, the consequences are devastating. Poor circulation is not just cold hands and feet. It is a major driver behind heart attacks, strokes, erectile dysfunction, kidney damage, and even cognitive decline. Endothelial dysfunction, damage to the delicate inner lining of blood vessels, is now recognized as an early warning sign of cardiovascular disease, and it begins years before symptoms appear. This is where rosemary enters the vascular story. Rosemary contains carnosol and rosmarinic acid, compounds shown in research to possess antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties that help protect endothelial cells from oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is one of the primary triggers that stiffens arteries and reduces nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for relaxing blood vessels. When nitric oxide production drops, vessels constrict, blood pressure rises, and circulation suffers. Some studies suggest rosemary's polyphenols may help support nitric oxide availability, encouraging healthy vasodilation and smoother blood flow. Animal research has even observed mild blood pressure lowering effects associated with rosemary extract. Better circulation means more oxygen to the brain, more nutrients to muscles, and more efficient waste removal from tissues. It means your heart doesn't have to fight as hard with every beat. It means your cells can breathe. A simple cup of rosemary tea becomes more than a warm beverage. It becomes a quiet act of vascular support, delivering plant compounds that help defend the very highways of life inside you. Because when circulation flows freely, vitality follows. And sometimes protecting your heart begins with something steeped gently in your cup. Your digestive system is more than a food processor. It is the foundation of your health, your immunity, and even your mood. Every bite you take is a signal to trillions of gut microbes, to enzymes, to bile, and to nerves lining your intestines. When digestion falters, the consequences ripple far beyond bloating or discomfort. Poor digestion can lead to nutrient deficiencies, systemic inflammation, fatigue, and even cognitive fog. It's a silent cascade that begins in the gut. This is where rosemary steps in as a centuries-old ally for digestion. Rosemary contains compounds like rosmarinic acid, cineol, and camphor, shown in laboratory studies to support bile production and stimulate gastric secretions, helping the body break down fats and absorb nutrients more efficiently. Traditional medicine has long used rosemary to ease bloating, cramping, and sluggish digestion, and modern research is beginning to validate these practices. By enhancing bile flow, rosemary not only supports fat digestion, but also assists the liver in detoxification processes, clearing metabolic waste that can otherwise burden your system. Animal studies suggest rosemary extracts may protect the lining of the stomach from oxidative stress and inflammation, reducing the risk of ulcers and maintaining a healthy gut environment. Even the aroma of rosemary appears to influence digestive motility, signaling the nervous system to prepare for efficient food processing. A warm cup of rosemary tea after meals is more than a comforting ritual. It is a gentle, science-backed nudge to your body that digestion is a priority. It supports the intricate dance of enzymes, bile, and microbiota that keeps your gut functioning optimally. Because a healthy gut is not just about comfort, it is about vitality, immunity, and resilience. And sometimes, the simplest act of sipping a fragrant herbal infusion can set your digestive system on the path to lasting health.